Faithful Families webinar. We're excited to welcome those attending by phone as well as those attending online. I'd like to give a special welcome and thank you to our dear friends at Downey's Partnership for Children and all the work that they've done to put this amazing webinar together. We are so excited to hear from them. Just a few logistical pieces before we begin. Since there's so many of us, I'd like to encourage those that are attending online to please sign in by introducing yourselves in the chat box. Feel free to include your agency or faith community and contact information if you desire. Also, feel free to use the chat box for any questions or comments or other resources that you would wish to share. As a note, there will be time during the last few minutes of the webinar if you'd like to ask any questions, or if you'd like to jot some questions down in the chat box, we can bring them up at the end. Also would like to give some time at the very end to NC State, where Dr. Annie Hardison Moody will very briefly share some information with us. Lastly, out of courtesy to those that are presenting, if we could please remember to keep our computers muted unless asking a question, that would be fantastic. To start off, we'd like to introduce the team of presenters from Downey's Partnership for Children. Emily Haley is the Community Collaborative Director. Donia Simmons is the Ready Communities Specialist, also Faithful Families Facilitator. Gwendolyn Shaw is the Faithful Families Consultant, also a facilitator. Sonja Person is the lay leader for Bunn Chapel Missionary Baptist Church. Lady Lisa Whitley is the lay leader for Saint Hope Baptist Church. And last but not least is Viola Barnes Gray. Miss Viola is the Ready Communities Coordinator for Downey's Partnership for Children, more commonly referred to as DEPC, a nonprofit organization located in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, that works to support a healthy start for children, or for area children, by creating and increasing access to high quality early care and education, by connecting families with coordinated community resources, including health education. Her role, Viola manages community outreach, leadership, and development, engaging partners for over 20 years to support health, early care, and education. In 2006, she created a faith-based initiative, recruiting faith, business, and civic partners, launching opportunities for educational forums to connect families, schools, and communities to DEPC's vision. Downey's Partnership for Children and Viola have been longtime and active partners to the Faithful Families program, facilitating successful programs and building partnerships with more than 30 churches and faith communities in the region. She and her colleagues continued their success and momentum in 2020, meeting the challenges brought on by the 2019 pandemic, taking their programs virtual and continuing to build partnerships with faith communities and partners to provide positive impacts on health in their communities. And with that, I'd like to turn the time over to Viola.
Thank you, Larissa, for that warm welcome and introductions, and good afternoon, everyone. As stated, I am Viola Barnes Gray. We want to first acknowledge NC State's Cooperative Extension Program in the persons of Dr. Annie Hardison Moody, Kim, and Larissa for inviting us to share our experiences with implementing a virtual program in the midst of a pandemic. So we thank them all for their collaboration and support. And we thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules today to participate in this webinar. So for the next hour, we are going to be family. We are saying to you that you have just invited us to come into your home, sit down in your living room and have a conversation about eating healthier and being more physically active in the church during a pandemic. So you're going to hear some reoccurring themes throughout all of our presentations on today. So that being said, let's get started. Next slide, please. So who are we? Downey's Partnership for Children is an agency that was created in 1993 as part of Governor Jim Hunt's Smart Start initiative. So we've been around for about 28 years providing services and programs for children and families. We are also one of the sites for the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading Initiative that has a focus on children being on grade level by the end of 3rd grade. Our local initiative is called Read to Rise. Our vision at Downey's Partnership for Children is to ensure that all children are healthy, lifelong learners by the end of 3rd grade, serving Nash and Edgecombe counties. That's from the cradle to the career. There are approximately 32 full-time employees, and we do offer an array of services for children and families for the whole family, which would be the children, the child care providers, and for the community. Next slide, please, will be Miss Emily Haley.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Thank you for the introduction, Miss Viola. Our pragmatic goals are based on 4 building blocks. Our health building blocks, which ensures that every child is developed health on track before birth, that early care and education are of high quality and affordable for all families, that families are engaged by coordinated communities, and that ready schools where we have effective teaching environments for all children, grades K through 3. Next slide, please. So how does Faithful Families fit into these building blocks? DPC has maintained a strong faith-based network for many years. Aligned with DPC's health and families and engaged communities in building blocks, we are funded through SNAP Ed, a small portion of Faithful Families. Our food demo money comes through SNAP Ed, as does 25% of Miss Viola and Donia's salaries and Gwen Shaw's work for hire contract. There is no dedicated full-time staff for this impactful program. Together, all 3 of these ladies come together to make it work.
Next slide, please. Recruitment 2021. With our SNAP Ed 3-year grant, we recruit 2 new churches a year. So in 2021, we were blessed to recruit and partner with Bunn Chapel Missionary Baptist Church that you see here in the first picture, and St. Hope Baptist Church in Spring Hope, North Carolina. Next slide, please. So really, why does recruitment matter? Recruitment is it first and foremost, it builds trust, and we're able to cultivate new faith relationships and partnerships. We are intentional about using this strategy in all of our work with our faith community and all of our partners at Downey's Partnership for Children. We maintain ongoing communication with our existing faith-based network that Ms. Emily mentioned and also that Larissa mentioned in the introduction. So we are always sending information out, connecting with them through social media to provide wraparound resources and other services to the faith community. As we know, most of the churches were meeting in the parking lot for their worship services because of the pandemic. So one of the resources, for an example, that we shared was a resource that connected the churches to a local radio station exclusive to their church, where members could really tune in the parking lot, as well as members could stay home and turn on that particular radio station to hear their worship experience and or to receive information from the community. Also, it is very, very, very important to try to learn the fabric and the culture and history of the faith community and how they interact with each other, as well as how they interact with agencies and organizations. Just as important, it is to understand the power structure in the faith community. Who is the go-to person? Who's that person in charge that's going to get something done? So we may have to do a little bit of homework, perhaps map the faith community, but it is very important that we understand this. Next slide, please. And Donia Simmons will do how was Zoom integrated at all levels.
So how was Zoom integrated at all levels? Multiple Zoom brainstorming and practice meetings, multiple conference calls, et cetera, to strategize and design what a virtual program looks like. Multiple Faithful Families information sessions, Zoom emails and conference calls with church leadership and DEPC staff because the churches were not convening in person. We secured leadership support, identified lay leaders who were very resilient in securing documentation because they weren't able to go to their church services on Sunday regularly. They had to find creative ways to get the information from their members. Flexible in scheduling lay leader training via Zoom. These phenomenal ladies came together and sat down with me and talked to me about what they needed, what was necessary, how they, what I could do to make it better for them, and anything that was necessary to make it work for their congregation. And then DEPC, being close to the public, practice safety and adhere to COVID guidelines in securing and distribution documentation to the lay leaders. So we came together and figured out a way to make it safe and easy for us to transport information back and forth.
Next slide, please. Components of administration. As I manage and oversee the Faithful Families program, this piece was very, very crucial and important to us. That initially we had to ensure that the purchase orders requisitions were completed really in compliance with our timelines and processes at Downey's Partnership for Children to be able to get the checks in the appropriate time to really purchase the food that was needed for the cooking demonstrations that had to be videotaped. Secondly, as Donia referenced, numerous Zoom sessions to brainstorm and come up with a process for the virtual class. This is an awesome team of strategists because we all came together and we landed on a two-tiered approach to this virtual class. First, we would pre-record the food demonstration videos. And then secondly, would be the facilitation of the 9 weeks classes where we would insert or share the screen with the pre-recorded cooking videos in the actual Zoom sessions. Took a lot of planning, a lot of strategizing, a lot of starting over, but we did it. Lots of Zoom sessions, phone calls to determine what technology supports would be needed. Technology was a real issue. It was a challenging issue. It was a growing opportunity, I would say, for us to look at how can we resolve the issues so that we can move forward. Certainly, we decided then to work with the facilitators to determine that technology issues, and that would be Ms. Donia and certainly Ms. Gwen. Then we landed on 9 food demonstration videos being prepared a month in advance of the class, starting with both sides, both churches. And then classes would start in February of 2021, of which they did. So we actually picked up the checks, prepared the requisitions in December, picked up the checks in January for the facilitators to be able to purchase the food that they could make the food demonstration videos and pre-record them. Next slide, please. So video preparation, that road to discovery, it was an opportunity for us and we took upon that opportunity. Let's see how we can make this happen. So our 2 facilitators now will be sharing with you from their individual perspectives. First up will be Ms. Gwynelen Shaw. She is our DEPC Faithful Families consultant and facilitator. We've been blessed to have her be serving this role for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been astounding. She will be sharing with you Gwen's story, and then we'll have a special treat, and Ms. Andy is going to share the screen for a video called Cooking in Gwen's Kitchen. Then followed by Ms. Gwen will be Ms. Donia's journey of video exploration and conquest. Next slide, please, and Ms. Gwen. And Ms. Gwen is unmuting herself and she'll be right with you. And it's always great to hear from the facilitators because they are the actual persons that facilitate this experience. So Ms. Gwendolyn Shaw.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. In my professional role, I work at the health department. Over the last few years, I have been hired by Downey's Partnership for Children as a faithful family consultant to facilitate the 9-week classes. To successfully implement the 9-week virtual classes of the Faithful Families program was a team effort orchestrated by Ms. Viola Barnes Gray. So Ms. Viola, she called the facilitators, the co-workers, and other members of the Faithful Family team and informed everyone that it was time to brainstorm to how our Faithful Family classes would be done during this pandemic. So everyone was presented with a challenge to carry out. So through community involvement and relationships, we were able to find churches that were willing and ready to get their members involved into something positive, especially with being home during this pandemic. So facilitators got to meet the pastor of the church and lay leader before the classes started. And this was also done virtually. So the lay leaders were informed of what was expected of her to successfully carry out each session. So facilitator and lay leaders, they established a bond. So the food preparation and the new recipes were still done and shared virtually after each class. So we prepared the 9 food videos in advance of start of the class. So making sure that things were in order before session started allowed us to focus on making great presentations. So what made these virtual sessions a success was getting everyone involved and sharing about healthy living and taking care of self. So we also incorporated moving more into the sessions as though we were in the church. We kept the classes at an hour long to not wear anyone out. So the churches were able to get their literature by meeting with one of our team members, make sure that they kept up with certain sessions and lessons. So we also took time before these virtual sessions started to work out technical issues to make sure that things ran smoothly. So getting family involved to help video the food classes and helping out at the grocery store and purchasing the food, that helped out a lot. It did take some effort and time in planning, preparing, and getting it done successfully. So facilitator review at beginning of each session, practice executed each session, facilitator took notes at beginning and all through of changes that was made. We talked about churches and their parking lot ministries to receive information and resources. The enjoyment of the classes was the question that was asked, being able to encourage and feedback from the church members. So also hearing members respond to the recipes and sharing their experiences in cooking the dishes at home. So changes in small practices that made big impact. So asking questions such as, is one food product better than another? Hearing that drinking habits had changed, eating habits had changed, more exercise was being done, and addresses the water policies and less sugary beverages. So also my class was taking notes and ready with questions at next session or during the current session. Important strategy for the class. I gained friends and helped someone make a change in his or her life. So I really enjoyed virtual sessions. It was safe and from the comfort of my own home. I say kudos to my team at Nash Edgecombe Down East Partnership for continuing to reach out to make the community better.
Thank you, Ms. Gwen. And now we'll have a special treat, and Ms. Annie is going to share a cooking demonstration by none other than cooking in Ms. Gwen's kitchen.
You know how to put it back on mute?
Uh-huh. You can't hear? We can't hear?
We cannot hear it.
Sorry, forgot I have to unmute myself. Hang on.
Okay.
Welcome back to Gwen's Kitchen. This is week 5, lesson 9. And guess what? This is the final session in Gwen's Kitchen. And tonight we have a special treat for you. And we're going to make chicken fruit salad. We're going to go out with a bang because everyone's going to love that chicken fruit salad. And our topic for the night is making the connections. And you know how I like to do it. I like to go over the key messages for the week. And our key messages are: practice what you have learned to improve your personal health. Determine 1 or 2 changes that could impact the health of others in your faith community. And determine steps necessary to adopt policies and environmental changes in the faith community. And again, our recipe is chicken fruit salad. And let's make that tonight, church. Our ingredients are: we're gonna have 3 cups of cooked chicken chopped. And what I done, we always talking about making it easy and fast. I use the chopped chicken that's in the can that just as nutritious. We're gonna make sure we drain all the juices out before we use it. We have 1 can of pineapple chunks in the juice. We're gonna drain this well before we put it in our fruit salad also. And then we have mandarin oranges. It says 1 11 ounce can of mandarin oranges. We're gonna drain this as well also. 3/4 cup of chopped celery. And you know, church, I normally get this celery already chopped up, but I wasn't that lucky in the grocery store. So I had to get the whole bunch and chop them up myself. But you can get your celeries already chopped. We have 1/4 cup half seedless grapes. Make sure that they're seedless. And what you want to do, you want to make sure you wash them well before we put them in the salad to keep us safe. Also, 1/4 cup of pecans divided. And this is optional. You don't have to use the pecans if you don't like. But I use the pecans because I like it to make the salad crunchy. 1/4 cup of low-fat mayonnaise, or you can use plain non-fat yogurt. And for my recipe, I chose the non-fat yogurt. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and also 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And then we have 8 cups of lettuce leaves, or 8 large lettuce leaves. And I'm going to tell you about this later, okay? So what we're going to do, our directions: in a large bowl, we're going to toss our chicken, our pineapple chunks, oranges, celeries, grape, and half of the pecan, which we said, remember, the pecan is optional. You don't have to have this. So in a separate small bowl, we're going to mix our low-fat, plain non-fat yogurt, our salt, and our pepper. And we're going to gently stir in our yogurt mixture into the chicken mixture. Cover, and we're going to chill this in the refrigerator. And we definitely want to chill it because it tastes better when it's chilled. And when we're going to serve, we're going to scoop 2/3 cups of chicken mixture into 1 cup of lettuce leaves, or you can just use 1 large lettuce. And optional, we want to sprinkle our remaining pecans on top of the chicken mixture. And as always, you know, I already have it ready for you. And I just want to show you this delicious chicken fruit salad that the entire family will enjoy. Doesn't that look good, church? And as I said, we're going to sprinkle the rest of our pecan mixture on the top. I love pecans. So this is our chicken fruit salad. And again, church, I thank you for joining in Gwen's Kitchen. I have enjoyed, I hope you have enjoyed these 9 sessions. And again, be safe and be blessed until we meet again.
Thank you, Miss Gwen. Thank you, Miss Gwen, for cooking in Gwen's kitchen. And you noted she had her apron as well. So she was all bought into the videos that Donia and Miss Gwen did that were inserted into the actual training sessions that were virtual. So thank you, Miss Gwen. Now, next slide, we're going to hear Donia's journey. And next slide, please. There we are. Thank you.
All right, so my journey began with number one. I don't have cooking classes demonstration as Miss Gwen did, but I had different things that happened from the beginning because we had to come together to find out how I could make this an easy transition. Because one of the things is a lot of our participants were living in the rural area. So we had to figure out how they could look at videos and that were not connected to the internet. What did we find out? We realized that we could send it through the phone. So there were so many different options, just as we were talking before, that we had to figure out ways that people could have different opportunities. So my quest was, number one, it was to learn how to use my cell phone to do these videos because I didn't have anyone in my home with me to help. So what I did was I purchased a ring light so that I could put the cell phone to record myself. Now, I now have greater reverence for people who have to take video takes over and over again, because there were so many times I had to repeat the video, or it wasn't placed in the right way. I'd say the right words, but I was in the wrong place for the video. But it was so amazing because the lay leaders were so generous. With my lay leader, Sonja Person, she was able to get these videos and send them out the week before so that each person could experiment with each recipe. And they would, when we'd get on every Tuesday, they would get on and tell me about all the amazing ways that they would use these recipes and follow the video and see how the ingredients work, and even tell me about how some of them use alternatives instead of going to the store because of the pandemic and because of the restrictions. They would alternate or use other ways to use some of the foods that they already had in their kitchen, in their cabinets, in their refrigerators. So it was so amazing to see the different concepts that they use by just taking these videos and then sharing them with their family and friends. So yes, it was a journey, and it was fun and exciting, and it was so captivating because people got involved and they got their family involved. And so I was excited to know that this journey of an open mind, creativity, the willingness to share with one another how things work, what worked and what didn't work. We went into challenges and successes, but it all came together that each person enjoyed these steps. And again, great interaction with the leaders of the church, the faith leaders. They got involved and they told their stories about how every recipe allowed them to make small, as Ms. Gwen said earlier, small impacts to make big changes. You know, small steps made big impacts in their lives. And we were so excited to know that even though some of them were not able to get on the Zooms, because they were able to use their phone, they can get on the conference and speak out what happened and talk about how it helped them. And we had participants that were up to the ages of 80 years old being involved. And it was just so enlightening to hear that they took some of their own homemade recipes and just alternated it a little bit to make it healthier for them. So it was an amazing journey.
Thank you, Ms. Donia. Thank you so much, Ms. Gwen and Donia. Next slide, please. So on this lessons learned, I'm going to address the first point because it's one of those reoccurring themes, and then Ms. Gwen will cover the other four. When we talk about working out glitches in compatibility of technology, that was such a major learning curve, major challenge and learning curve for us, because first of all, we did not know Zoom, myself nor the facilitators. So we had to learn while practicing Zoom, we had to learn. If you'll go back to, thank you very much. Thank you so much. We had to overcome the challenges of the technology, because one of the issues that we will talk about a little bit later is that once the videos were videotaped by the two facilitators, we had some software issues trying to get them uploaded to our technology at Downey's Partnership for Children. So we're constantly reaching out for resources, people who knew more than we did, and they were more than willing to share with myself, the two facilitators, on how we could do this. And we salute them because we could not have done it without them. So major challenges with technology and the lack of compatibility, but we were able to resolve it by constantly researching what needed to be done. Ms. Gwen?
All right.
And you're muted, Ms. Gwen. There you are.
Okay, all right. So the personal use of phone cameras and home laptops, the videotape challenge, data usage, I'm telling you, when we're talking about being illiterate when it comes to the computers and your phones, even now these high-tech phones, y'all, just trying to get to learn how to use this new technology that we have today, it was definitely a challenge. But it was some that that I was able to work out, especially with my organization, with my family, and helping me to get things set up and get things in order so we could get this videotaping and thing going on. So it was actually really a personal challenge for me, but we was able to work out the kinks. So that's why with Viola and Miss Viola and myself, we would come together before the actual classes would begin so that we could kind of work them out, help work them out together. So we spent countless hours trying to get these things together, but it really came together and it was done. So just letting you know, it's going to be some personal challenges. So prepared and cooked food in advance first without video. So what we would do was I would call my daughter in, call other friends in, whoever I could find. And we would cook the classes in advance, and she would use my camera to video the classes, to record the classes, and then we would video them and put them on the computer. So that took time and effort as well. But like we said, in order to get things done and to come together to do what we needed to do, we were able to get it done. So first we would, I would cook the food, and then we would video them, and then we would put them on the computer. So when the classes started, we would have all of that together. So like as I was saying, that's the actual cooking demonstration, going to the grocery store, making sure that I had everything at hand, and so that we could get these recipes done. And actually, I would cook about two or three dishes at one time. So, but as we go along, we learn. But everything actually came together, and actually we got it done. Safety first during the pandemic and teleworking. As we know, with this pandemic going on, we have to put safety first. But going to the grocery store, making sure we wear our masks, and actually buying all the foods for several classes, it kept us out of the grocery store a lot. So we made sure that safety was first. And making sure that the foods were prepared safely, cooking in the kitchen, making sure, hands washed, all of that that was going on to get things going and ready and making safety first.
Thank you, Ms. Gwen. Next slide, please. How do we do this? Again, some reoccurring themes. You've heard Ms. Gwen and Donia say it, soliciting family members to videotape an actual food demonstrations. So Ms. Gwen had her husband became a professional shopper of reading labels, because she would give him one of the recipes and send him off in the store. And he became a professional honoree to food shopping, and because you were tapping into the resources at hand. And Ms. Donia's daughter and her circle, her network of friends, that's what you do when you're trying to create a system or a process out from the very beginning. So then preparing the 9 food videos in advance, you heard us say that. We just knew that it was necessary because these two ladies that were facilitators needed to have all their focus and attention on facilitating the classes and leading those wonderful members into not learning how to cook, but healthier ways of cooking. And there was great engagement in the classes with that. And looking at the 2 different ways that they shared the videos. Ms. Donia before class, we had to be flexible. We had to make sure that whatever infrastructure we set up, there was flexibility. So one church did it one way, the other church, it was more effective for them to share the videos through share screen. Great strategies. And again, Cannot say it enough, multiple practice Zoom sessions. We work Sunday nights, we work Saturday nights, we work weekend nights, because we were brought in and we're passionate about making this process work before the start of class. And we wanted to iron out any kinks, any glitches, so that when that class started, we had opportunity to continue. And then the last thing, incorporating, if you go to the next slide, please. The last point I would make is incorporating cooking demonstration videos into the actual facilitation of the class. It was great to see the responses and hear the feedback coming out of the participants. It wasn't about us, but about the experience that these faith-based partners, while on the virtual settings, the experience that they were encountering was awesome to hear that. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and so this is St. Hope Baptist Church with Gwynelen Shaw, and she's going to share her screenshot information with you. Miss Gwen.
All right, St. Hope Baptist Church. Excited to share this screenshot of church that I facilitated, St. Hope Baptist Church. Now, these participants, they were on their toes. I think once they filled me out and kind of weighed me out and kind of found out how the classes was going, I think everybody kind of settled down and started really enjoying the classes. They were excited. We had participants that was virtual, and then we had some on the phone, as Ms. Donia was saying earlier, for some reason that they didn't have the accessibility to computers or the internets, or whether they were just getting off work, picking kids up from the daycare. They came on the session. Even though the participants couldn't actually see the kitchen videos, they shared how they felt and saying that, wow, that sounds good. And even the ones that were on the video, they would say, oh, wow, that looks good. And, it was things that were said of that nature that gave me the opportunity to chime in to encourage them to try these new recipes that I had made in Gwen's kitchen. And once they started, I started providing the information and the foods and letting them know how quick it was to prepare that meal. We started having participants to come back and say, I tried that meal last week and it was pretty good, or, something of that nature. And also in asking them, letting them know to get the kids involved. And when we do things of this nature, the kids are more likely to eat the dish, and we'll know then that they are eating more healthier foods. So it was an exciting time with St. Hope, and I really enjoyed facilitating that church.
Thank you, Miss Gwen. Next slide, please, and that will be Miss Donia.
So, wow, there's not enough time on this video to tell you how much fun we had at Bunn Chapel Missionary Baptist Church. I could tell you that they have an extraordinary pastor, leader, first lady, who were involved with us over the entire 9 weeks, who got involved and just had so much fun and laughter. As you can see, as you see Miss Sonja Person, she's just grinning. We had so much laughter about the different ideas. A lot of stuff they were saying to me is like, hold on, Miss Donia, I don't think that's right. I don't think what you're saying sounds good. It doesn't sound like it's gonna taste good, but they weighed in what they needed to tell me, but then eventually they bought in and tried a little bit of this or that. And it was just a wonderful time of sharing and getting to know one another. They became, even though they're close-knit, they even began to find out things they didn't know about one another. They're very attentive to the understanding of the likes and dislikes of the foods that they wanted to try or hadn't even heard of, because no one had heard. One of our recipes was a tuna burger. No one had heard of that, but after they had tasted it, made it themselves, they were excited about telling me how great it tastes. And because of the recipes, and that's something, kudos for Faithful Families and the recipes that you all have given to us, that how easy, each person talked about how easily accessible it was to find the ingredients, and how easy it was to cook it, and the time that they took to do it. It was very easily done, and how quick it was for their families who were rushing or coming home or leaving from work or picking up their children. So we're thankful for those recipes for NCFNEP to give us those recipes and share with us, because they were quite enjoyable, and we're using them and sharing with, and also they explained to me that they shared it with their community, some of their family and some of their church members. And I will tell you this, the most favorite used recipe of all is the chicken and broccoli quiche. So thank you guys for that.
Thank you, Ms. Donia and Ms. Gwen. Next slide, please. And Donia will cover the first 3 bullet points, and Ms. Gwen will cover the last 3 bullet points.
Okay, so what behavior changes did you notice or track? The facilitator reviewed at the beginning of each session and took notes throughout the session. Participants were engaged, taking notes and asking questions. They were excited to share and learn. The level of trust. People began to realize that this was a safe place. They can have conversations and give feedback. And then hearing members respond to recipes and sharing their experiences in cooking the dishes at home, changes in small practices that make big impact being shared to encourage others.
Gwen will take the last 2.
Okay. Hearing that drinking habits had changed, eating habits had changed, more exercise were being done, and discussing the amount of sugar that is in certain drinks, juices, and the benefits of drinking more water or reduced or low-fat milk, I could see that drinking habits were changing. The participants, they were excited to share how they had cut back on drinking soft drinks, teas, and other sugary beverages, how they were introducing the family to low-fat and low-calorie milk. And they expressed how it was hard, but as facilitators, we encourage taking small steps and stressing how it's going to take time to incorporate changes. And the main thing is to be motivated to make these healthy choices. The same with exercise. We incorporated a certain amount of exercise a day, and to start off at maybe 15 minutes a day, and to gradually increase these exercising, whether walking, working out, or etc., to an hour, from like 15 minutes to an hour a day. And I actually incorporated exercise in each virtual session, whether arm rotations or lifting up your legs or lifting your arms. And we stressed it is about moving more. And I heard about more walking being incorporated, either alone or with family and friends. So each week, participants were sent videos of cooking preparation for meals along with the recipes before the class. So when it came to the videos of cooking preparation, my colleagues, Donia and myself, we took a 2-tier approach. And because my colleague was not able to insert her videos, she sent her videos to the lay leader weekly in order for the participant to view. So with the help of friends and family, I was able to insert my videos at the end of each class. And either way, we felt each method was very productive.
Thank you, ladies. Next slide, please. So I'm going to introduce to you our awesome lay leaders and their testimonials. First up will be Sonja Person from Bunn Chapel Missionary Baptist Church. And I would like to insert that Lady Lisa Whitley is a kindergarten teacher in the Scotland Next school system, and she is currently in class teaching the babies. And so Emily Haley will be able to share her update, as she was very, very, very sure of sending it to us. And so Miss Sonja Person, lay leader.
Viola, I have enjoyed everything thus far and totally agree with what was said. So I want to share a little bit about our journey from Bunn Chapel Missionary Baptist Church, because we considered it to be an extension of our faith journey. When I was talking with them Sunday about, me doing this, everybody's like, tell them this, tell them that, tell them this. I was like, that's a lot, y'all. I don't think I'm going to have that much time, but I'll just tell them what I can. And I got little pieces from different people. So I'm going to be inserting some of those in this little short presentation. And so I want to say thanks to Donia for getting those food demonstrations out to us. They were so excited. They come back and say, Miss Donia, now you're going to make me have to go shopping. And some people was like, I had everything in my cabinet. I don't have to buy anything. And some people were like, I didn't have this. What can I substitute for that? So they were really into looking at those demonstrations and having fun with those demonstrations. we have added just more conversation to what we already had at our church. But except now we're talking about what we eat. We're talking about how we shop for groceries. We're talking about how we cook. We're talking about conversations that we have at the table when we're eating dinner. And so Donia has helped us to see that we all have some of these things. So we were enhancing some things that we were already doing. And then there were some new things that we had to start. Now, some favorite foods that we have were definitely those tuna burgers. Just love, 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 cooking those right before the class and then having the opportunity to say to the class, that was one of the first things that I fixed. And then having the opportunity to say to the class, hey, I just ate those tuna burgers and they were delicious. And so it was just so exciting. They love the easy lasagna. We had one of our participants who is a stay-at-home person, and she was able to fix the majority of the meals. So every week she was coming back. I fixed the beefy skillet, dinner. I fixed a stir fry this week. So we were like, yeah, you're fixing all the dinners. But it was so exciting just to hear her share that. And she and her mom live together, and they both love the dinners. Now, since we have completed the class, people are still fixing those dinners, Donia. They're still having fun and coming back and saying, you know what? I fixed the tuna burgers this week. And so it's exciting. I want to share some of our what we call healthy moments, healthy days, healthy weeks that lead to a healthy life. And the reason we came up with it this way is that sometimes we say things like, did you cook with no salt this week? And somebody would say, I did it for one day. And then somebody else would say, I've been doing that for 2 weeks. And so we just came up with this way to say healthy moments, healthy days, healthy weeks that lead to a healthy life. Another conversation we would have is no sugary drinks this week. Some people would say, hey, I did it for 2 weeks. Some people say, I'm still not drinking those sugary drinks. We're all at different places, but we're all on the same road to this healthy living. More exercise. People were being really creative. Thank you, Donia, for rolling your arms and, just letting them know how to roll the neck and to do all the things that you can do. Even when we were having our meeting, just, on Zoom, you could do some things, some exercise things. Donia talked with us about when we're sitting. If we're working at home and we're sitting a lot, there's some things that you can do. And so we've taken advantage of those things Donia has shared with us. We talk about shopping at the farmer's market. And so we're out in the rural area of Nashville. We're about 5 or 6 miles outside of the city limits of Nashville. And some of our members, they live a little bit further out. And so shopping at the farmer's market was not exactly what they were doing. They went to the grocery store, and we have some that had their own garden and they were eating that food. But we've had an opportunity, more of our members have had an opportunity to go to the farmer's market where you can get the fresh fruits and vegetables, where you can see people that and then you can do some more cooking. And we really talked about trying some of the things that we don't cook as much that are healthy for us as well. We are also drinking more water. We're excited about drinking more water. Some of them are bringing their water with them to church. I got my water container in the car. How much are you drinking? Are you drinking 4 bottles or 8 bottles? And so those conversations make us laugh, but they also help us to realize that we can do this thing together. Some of our families have purchased blood pressure machines because they want to know that if I'm going to eat right and I'm going to cut salt and I'm going to exercise more, they want to see that it's making a difference for those that have blood pressure issues. So when I heard that, I was like, wow, Mr. Nia is going to really love that because now you're taking care of yourself and putting your health in your hands. And I just want to say that we're committed to making some life changes. We all admitted that we sleep better. We feel better just from being a part of healthy eating. We shop better and we feel like we live better. And we want you to know, Donia and Viola, and to the state, that we have had a happy time with this experience and it's continuing in our lives. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much, Bunn Chapel, in the person of lay leader Sonja Person and their very fine pastors. And I'm going to make a quick little change here after Miss Emily shares. We would definitely want to get to questions. So after Miss Emily shares Lady Lisa Whitley's presentation or her summary, I'm going to quickly read through the other 3 slides so that we can get to questions and answers. If that's okay with everyone, we wanted to get through to the question and answer period as well. So Miss Emily, if you would,
Bye.
please. Next, and after Miss
Grandmother
Emily.
has spicy stuff. So I
Yes.
end up having
Can
to
y'all hear
buy.
Hello.
Yes,
Miss Emily
okay.
Haley is going to share with us first Lady Lisa Whitley's information. Then I'm going to read very quickly the
Thank
next
you.
3 slides, and then we will then Miss Larissa will open up question and answers.
Thank you, Viola. So Miss Lisa Whitley sent this message in for us to read today from St. Hope Baptist Church in Spring Hope, North Carolina. Our church was part of Faithful Families' 9-week winter session. We met virtually on Zoom on Thursday evenings. After recruiting several people who were interested in participating, we began one cold winter evening. The fact that the class was taking place right in the middle of a pandemic was actually amazing. We always started our sessions in prayer and scripture. After the usual introductions, we began to learn about how to eat healthier and move more in our daily lives. Our participants would ask questions during each class, in which our facilitator always had a great answer. The longer the classes went on, the closer our group became. We laughed, played games, moved more, and learned a lot over Zoom those 9 weeks. We enjoyed connecting with each other. The sessions always ended in Gwen's kitchen, and we are excited to find out what Miss Gwen was cooking that evening. Our pastor attended almost every session and learned how we could serve healthier options at church. All in all, the 9-week sessions was time well spent, and the feedback from our church was very positive. The participants were engaged each week and wanted to learn more. If your church has an opportunity to participate, please do. We were surely blessed during this 9 weeks and look forward to continuing in the Faithful Families program.
Thank you, Miss Emily. Next slide, please. And Miss Annie, since we would suggest that we could send the PowerPoint to everyone, and they could then certainly look at the PowerPoint and reach back out to us. I'd like to move on to the questions and answer and introduce Miss Larissa. And those last 3 slides, perhaps the PowerPoint would be beneficial to persons to look at their own leisure. So Miss Larissa, I'm turning it over to you for question and answers.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Miss Viola Barnes Gray and the entire staff at Downey's Partnership for Children for the incredible work that they're doing. This has been so great to listen to. We'd like to open up now for any questions that you all may have.
I did see a question in the chat. Let me scroll back up to it earlier. To make it simple for some groups to use, would it be useful to use another church's videos for the first round or organization? So what do you all think about using videos for different faith communities that you're working with?
Yes, I will take that question as well. That's one of the things that we applaud, because we say that we're trying to have population impact. And so the videos that we have are on archive so that the communities, regardless of where you fit in or land in a community, you have access to our website to the videos. So yes. And it looks like my supervisor and director, Ms. Emily, has a comment as well.
Viola, I know that we kept those videos that like all the videos that we used as a library. Would there be a way for Faithful Families, different organizations to share between other facilitators in other areas?
I think that's a conversation we can definitely have. Yes.
Yes, we've developed some virtual resources, as you all know, for faithful families. And we would love to make those a part of those if you all would be interested in that. So we can definitely talk more about that later. And then someone had a question about where are those on your website? So if anyone from Downey's partnership could put a link, that would be awesome in the chat.
Thank you, Ms. Ann, and we'll make sure that when we go back to the office, that we'll have a link for these videos. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I was wondering if Sonja would mind writing in the chat the one moment, one day to a healthier life, like the little motto that her church developed. I thought that was something that I'd like to take with me today.
And I see that there's a question in the chat. Have any of the faith-based organizations we've worked with had any unique ideas for PSE changes due to the pandemic? I would say there have been some unique changes, and Ms. Donia and Ms. Gwen can speak to that as well. And for instance, one in their parking lot ministries, the recipes that the participants on the virtual class had, when the lay leader would meet in the parking lot to hand out the recipe to the participants in the class, the rest of the congregation wanted the recipes as well. So you're talking about making change, not just for the participants in the class, but population change for the entire congregation of the church. And then they talked about the walking. If you're walking at home, not only just walking at home, but then some of the community partners would depending on which church it was, they would start walking more and have more people attached to the physical and activity and the movement pieces. So yes, in answer to that question.
And also to add to that, it would be the water. So before, we know that Faithful Families has always given out water pitchers, but because of the pandemic, they had to change to water bottles. So one of the things, the incentives that we were able to give out was water bottles to the churches so that they can use those when they're going walking and have those with them. So that was one of those changes. And also being able to capture all of these things to share with everybody else.
And the pastors as well would, during their sermon or before their sermons in the parking lot ministries, those pastors would give a healthy tip, a healthy recipe, or I would say articulate the necessity to claim better health outcomes. So we had pastors weighing in as well.
Miss Viola, there's one more question that came up. How can lay leaders have access to the recording of this session as they do not have access to the Faithful Families website? Let's see, Annie just put on that there will be, it will be on the Faithful Families website.
Yes, so if you go to the Faithful Families website, you can, on the tools and resources section, I can't link to it here because I'm running the presentation, but Larissa, if you can, that would be great. There's a link to all of our webinars from the past, and they're all on our YouTube channel. So you can also search YouTube and search Faithful Families and they pop up. And this one will be up there by next week.
I'll find that link now.
While Larissa is doing that, we have 1 minute left, and I will just take the opportunity to say thank you so much for this excellent presentation. It is such an honor for us to get to work with you all at the Downey's partnership. This has been a long partnership, to say that word again, and we just appreciate all that you're doing. And when Larissa was working with you all on a success story, she was sharing how impactful this virtual programming has been. And so we are just grateful that you all are willing to share this with everyone. So we really appreciate it and appreciate your time. And I just want to close with one quick, piece. You all might have gotten an email about this in your Faithful Families from our listserv, but we have a student who's doing a dissertation project on people's experiences with Faithful Families. And so if you are interested or you know of folks who might be interested in participating in this study. I think that she's gotten some interest so far. There's information on our social media pages, so you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or I'll put my email in the chat and I'd be happy to send you the slide. But again, I just wanted to say thank you all so much. This has been an incredible presentation and we really appreciate it. Larissa, is there anything that you wanted to say before we close out?
No, I just am copying this right now, this link to our website, if I can.
And Ms. Viola, is there anything you'd like to say as we close out?
We're just thankful that we in the faith community, and I say we in the faith community, have a resource that will help us to reclaim better outcomes for ourselves, especially in a pandemic and beyond, because this is about a lifestyle change, not just a program. So yes, thank you so much for the partnership and for all of you who took time out today. I would have one little special request. I would like to get a screenshot because part of our archives are the screenshots. So if we could stop sharing the screen so that we could have a screenshot, I would greatly appreciate it. And you will see me doing exactly that now. Oops, let me try that once again. That was on video. Thank you, because for archives, for your SNAP-Ed grants, we always have to have proof positive that of the work that's happening and going on. So thank you so much for your time. For all of on behalf of Henrietta Zalkine, our executive director at Downey's Partnership for Children, who's been there for 28, 29 years, leading us in the work that we do for children and families. We're blessed to partner with NC State's Cooperative Extension Program, and now all of you. Thank you so very much.